Here we are.
Yes.
7 a.m., Mike. Good morning.
Fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Untainted by any new thoughts that the day would bring. I'm just raw. Raw-id.
I was
That's
mentioning that to CJ, we were talking about a movie I saw last night, and I've mentioned my problems with movie theaters on this pod a few times now. I think yesterday broke me.
Really?
I think I'm a completely broken man now. Yeah. We drove almost an hour to Alamo Draft House in Staten Island to watch the movie on Staten Island, in Staten Island, because like I was sure there wouldn't be any cell phones there. They're pretty strict about the cell phone thing at Alamo Draft House. And the guy next to me, it was like, first he did the thing where he hid the phone under his napkins and he would just check every 10 minutes or so. And then when he realized he would get away with it, like sitting there, just bright phone out, texting, blah, blah, blah.
Mid-movie?
What's that?
Mid-movie?
Mid-movie. Oh yeah, the whole movie. And finally, I just like got broke. I try not to do anything because Val gets mad when I say something, but I was like, bro, come on. And I always get the same face twice. It's the, hey, fuck you, man. And then it clicks in their head that they're actually in the wrong. So they just, all right. You put it away. But then they start looking at the phone again. I can't take it.
Wow.
Grown man? Kid?
Oh, like my age.
That just doesn't happen to me.
Well, in LA, people in LA are better.
I went to a movie on Christmas in Philadelphia, saw a complete unknown.
Did you like it?
Just perfect behavior.
There's a lot of terrible behavior out there in movie theaters, man.
And then I saw a movie at the Alamo Draft House in LA. Also,
Yeah.
great behavior.
Yeah. Now, Alamo Draft House has been good about that. The only thing annoying at Alamo Draft House is like food service happening the entire movie is distracting to me as well.
Yeah, it's a little weird. But
Yeah.
they do their best at it.
Yes.
Are you sure you're not selecting? Like, you can select like, oh, this is in like 70 millimeter. This is in like 3D. Are you selecting like
the
used
dickhead
phones?
Yeah. No.
Are you sure?
Yes. In fact, I said last night to my wife, I'm like, they should have once a day for every movie a quiet car version of it where everyone going in. I know they tell everyone to put their phones away, but they know people don't put their phones away. I need like a serious, everyone's coming in here to not be an asshole. Or a movie theater that makes you put your phone in that little thing, like when you go to see a comedian, or your phone's locked, you can't get it out of the thing until the end of the show. Or I want one of those.
Man.
Yeah.
That is maybe the thing you've complained about most on this podcast.
Yeah. I hate it because I love going to the movies. So, all right, let's go. This movie podcast, this movie manners podcast, is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process. BriggsAuction.com. MortgageCS, become a MortgageCS Ricky VIP at MortgageCS.com/Ricky. Bodybio, get 20% off any Bodybio order with promo code Norman. That's Norman at bodybio.com. And Kinetic Skateboarding, get 9.1% off your first order with code Dave Silver. On the show today, the Sixers win again, even though they made it probably a little bit harder than they needed to. But that's just the way they beat the Jazz, and they are on their way to the play-in, baby, on their way. Also, some Jared McCain trades for Mike, just as a thought exercise, as he asked me to do. I got some from listeners, and I put together a couple as well. Just as a thought exercise. That's it. I'm not trying to run Jared McCain out of town. That's it. New episode of the Draft Council is out about how the Nets approach the 2025 draft. You can get that wherever you get your podcast. New episode of the Carl Landry Record Club about Deftones' White Pony and Prince musicology. You can also get that wherever you get your podcast. Fly the Process Atlanta. You can still sign up for it. You put your deposit down at rightstRickySanchez.com/fly. We are going to Atlanta March 21st, returning March 24th. We do it all with fans of Philly. It'll be awesome. The Sixers have to attempt 8 dunks to rid ourselves of the Ben Simmons passed up dunk curse per Mike. You get the shirt, you get the flight, you get the hotels. And if you need any special accommodations, like we got a couple of emails from people that are already in Atlanta or flying from somewhere else, send an email to joe@fansofphilly.com. And finally, kinetic skateboarding. So if you're like me, sometimes around the holidays, you don't buy anything for yourself leading up to Christmas or Hanukkah because you don't know what you're going to get. So now that we're past it, now you can buy stuff for yourself. And kinetic skateboarding, if you didn't get the winter clothes that you needed, maybe the pair of sneakers you wanted, maybe there's a jacket, maybe there's a couple of hoodies you wanted that you're hoping somebody that loved you would get for you and they didn't, you can just get it yourself. Go to kineticskateboarding.com. My favorite thing, if you just, I think the default sort on Kinetic is just newest, which is good for the sneaker section because there's always stuff there that pops up. And, you know, if you don't get to it quickly, your sizes will sell out. So what I would do is sign up for the newsletter at kineticskateboarding.com. By the way, when it's your first order, use code DaveSilver for 9.1% off that first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who hasn't updated us on his pulse during the Sixers games all season long. That is Mike Levin.
It hasn't been alarming, although I wasn't wearing it last night, and last night might have gotten me there. I didn't bring it home to Philly with me. I got to do a better job of it.
Yes,
I got to do a better job.
Yeah, I want to get those updates. You know, I thought that was an interesting way to start.
I have it. It's supposed to buzz when it gets past a certain blood pressure rating. So I'll get there. Heartbeat or something. Heartbeat or blood pressure? I think it's heartbeat.
Heartbeat or what? What did you
blood
say?
Pressure.
Oh yeah. I don't know blood pressure numbers or anything. Like every time I get my blood pressure taken, they'll go, "Hey, it's like 160 over 90," and I'm like, "Oh."
There's always this like, "Hey, all right."
I always say, is that good? Is that okay? Yeah. So Sixers beat the 7-22 Jazz. Sixers are now 12-17 after starting off 3-14, which is wild to think they were 3-14. Yeah. 12-17. They are a half game behind the 9th place Bulls for the play-in. They're behind the Pistons as well. And then they're a game and a half behind the Pacers for the 8 seed and 3 games behind the Heat for the 7 seed, 3.5 games behind the Bucks and the Hawks, which is wild to think of as well. So after as bad as this season started, we are somehow...
And it was bad.
It was as bad as you could have ever imagined. Somehow we are in not horrible position, but it was funny going into this game. Like, this is a game against Utah, and now we're in the situation where you can't fucking lose to... Like you can't just have one of these losses to Utah. And the way this game started is especially defensively, as the Jazz were just fucking dunking up a storm, dunking and wide open threeing a storm for about a quarter and a half. I thought this was a loss, but they figured this one out.
Yeah, I mean, like, definitely the kind of Sixers game that they have had in previous seasons when you go like, oh, they just kind of think that they can turn it on.
Right.
And they have it. And that just is so frustrating in a season when they did start, as you mentioned, 3-14. Mm-hmm. There were some people that I've seen that were like, hey, let's not be so negative about how they were. It's like 3-14. 3-14.
Right. As bad as you could possibly imagine. The worst team in the league. The worst record in the league.
Yeah, like 3 for 17 is there. Like if they took those shots, if that was an attempted like half court shot, and they went 3 for 17 on every single one on that many shots, you'd be like, yeah, Maxey can probably go 3 for 17 from half court. So that first stretch of games was as if it was just taking half court shots. That was the probability.
Yeah.
And that's just bad. That's quite bad it was a rough start. And so it's frustrating a little bit to be like, oh, now you're kind of back to that Sixers-y kind of fuckboy feeling of like, we got it. We can get it. This team's not good. John Collins isn't even playing. Kente George isn't even playing. Like, it's the Jazz. They're bad. There's some good players in the Jazz. I really like what building here. I love Bryce Sensabaugh. I liked him in the draft very much. He had maybe his best game of his career last night in the NBA. He's awesome. But they got the win. They needed to get the win. Good stuff from some of the guys. I thought it was another really good Maxey game. It felt like his three is. I feel like he has a lot more. The three's going in, and he has just a ton of confidence in it. There were a bunch of like gotta have it threes that Maxey made in this one after kind of a season of like this would be a big momentum swing, and then no, he missed it. So that was nice. The three in the corner off of Embiid falling down was just sick. That was awesome. That was just such a money play. He's really getting into that lefty dunk. It's fun to watch. He had one off the behind the back from George on a fast break. He had the one in San Antonio, which I think we talked about, which is a very momentum steal and one dunk. I think it was Julian Champagny that
the one with a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really nice. And I thought it was a good. We've been asking Maxey for years now to get better at drawing fouls, and I thought this was really good at it. He did a really good job. He was 9 of 10 from the line.
From my eyes, it was his best foul drawing game of in memory. Like I can't remember a better one where he not just got the calls, but seemed like he was in position to get the calls. If put it that way.
I think he slowed down. He manipulated the defense. He manipulated his body. He drew the contact. He wasn't just going 100 miles an hour. Like he slowed down and adjusted. I thought it was really a very heartening series of decisions there. There was one play, I should have clipped it, but there's one play where Nick Nurse getting really good at time after timeout.
Yeah.
Plays.
Yep.
And I've really been liking it. I kind of want to be like, just do some more of that, not after timeout, before timeout even, where they used Joel was in the corner, Maxey inbounds the ball to PG at the top of the key, and then Maxey screens for Joe in the corner. He hesitates and then screens for Joe, and Joe cuts off the corner baseline and got free throws out of it, which is just a really nice draw. It's cool to see every time Maxey is screening for someone else, I'm loving it. You should replicate the stuff that Steph does, because Maxey's 3-point volume is nearly as good for the defense, and I love seeing Joe cut. It's fun. It's fun to see him move off the catch and everything. So, and then
I like seeing Joe roll too. By the way,
I mean, yes, we'll talk about the rolling for sure.
Yeah.
That was great. And then the last thing I'll just say about Maxey, because it's become my pet issue, just a number of great defensive plays. Once again, another great defensive game for Maxey. Individual defense. He ties up Sexton off a hard drive. He drew a push off on Markkanen that didn't get called, which it was a push off, and they should have called it. We're 29 games into the season, and I'm the defensive improvement to me is very, very real.
Well, he moves his feet. I think as good as he's moved his feet. I think that he's stronger physically. You can see, but absolutely. I think he moves his on the perimeter. He moves his feet much better than he had in previous years, and is able to stays in front of the guy. It's rare that a guy gets by Maxey, and Maxey isn't just filtering him to Embiid, right? Like that he just gets beat doesn't seem to happen very often. The big picture thing I take from this game, and really every game now, is that offensively, when the Sixers don't get, when they pass the ball, let's put it this way, when there's more than one of Maxey, Embiid, George involved in an action, it usually ends up with a good shot from somebody, whether it's George and Embiid, or Maxey and George, or Maxey and Embiid, whatever it is, something happens. It's when one of these guys just decides to do something on their own, more than one possession for a couple possessions in a row, when everything slows down. And Embiid I would say that Embiid and Maxey are the most guilty of this, Embiid being the most guilty of it. There's a stretch in the third quarter where it's just he goes through this thing every game where it seems like he just wants to try to prove something, or it becomes all Embiid all the time, and that is when everything slows down. And I just like the more they move the ball, and at least I'm just talking about running a normal screen, like a normal pick and roll with the other guy. When they do those things, everything opens up. But it's when they're going one-on-one that things don't open up. And when Embiid does it, it slows the offense down the most.
Yeah, I hear that. And obviously I'm a big proponent of moving the ball and passing, and I don't love ISOs generally. I would say it's a balance. I think that you want to make sure that within all the actions and movement, sometimes you just got to go like, hey, that's Joel Embiid. Like, he's maybe the best offensive scorer, the hardest to stop offensive player one-on-one in the league. And make sure we get his touches at the nail and stuff. And let him jab, let him like hesitate. I thought he was a little bit tentative early. And then he got Kessler in foul trouble, and it felt like he started asserting himself offensively. This was a game that I really liked. It felt like a very like post-play Joel game, which to my memory hasn't happened much this season, and definitely hasn't happened since he hurt his face. And so it was cool to see him be comfortable with the mask around the rim. There were, a ton of like great pump fakes, making him look silly. Like you said, like rolling off of Maxey screens, Maxey throwing really good pocket passes, and Joel accelerating to the basket. It's good to see him be comfortable doing that after he hurt his face for the third time in a serious way. And he's always been reluctant to roll. He's always just kind of wants to stop short a little bit. And rolling, and then also drawing fouls, but still shooting it after contact's off to get a touch. He had a couple of and-ones that was really nice.
Yeah. And by the way, Maxey's getting better and better at running, like when it's just, two-man game between those two, putting the pass where it needs to be, where Embiid is in a good situation to either just go up with that 12-footer or roll to the rim. I feel like he's not James Harden clearly at doing that, but he's gotten better and better, I think, as the season's gone on.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have minded more decisiveness on Joel on outside shots. He's still like his inclination is still to hesitate and do like sort of that like pump fake that's not even a pump fake.
Yes.
That's not actually getting him
at the top of the key specifically.
So I wouldn't mind a little more decisiveness. He's 1 for 4 from 3. I wouldn't mind getting that number up because he's been hitting lately, and I want him taking those shots comfortably. But another great passing game for Joel. Just to give him more credit, he had the one behind the head pass to Ricky Council that I just desperately wanted to work. I just wanted it to.
It was off point by like 3 feet.
Oh yeah, by a lot. Yeah. If it's going over Ricky's head, like you threw it too high, but I think it's indicative,
something like that.
Yeah, 4 assists. I think it's indicative of Joel having a good time, like when he's passing and guys are finishing off his passes, and he's making that silly pass to Ricky, and he's driving in the the Fanatic mobile with the Jazz mascot. I think he's just like having a nice time, which is cool. He got fined for doing the fuck you gesture to Boston. It's nice to see him have fun after like all that he's been through this season. And
by the way, old school fuck you gesture.
Like very old school.
Who does this anymore?
I don't know. I think he was trying to do it like a 3-point gesture, but he caught a little bit too much fuck you in that 3-point gesture.
It's like I haven't seen that fuck you gesture since like 1989 or something.
No, it's been a while. Yeah, for sure. And this is a good, like we talk about the two poles of Joel on defense are the two things that give him trouble are obviously bigs who can shoot and step out. And Joel has been the unwillingness Joel has sometimes to be like, I'm not going all the way fucking out there because he's so valuable at the rim, around the rim defensively. Like, let's be clear. It's not entirely laziness. It's he knows his value is around the rim. And so he can't do both at the same time. And it's like just straight up relentless rim runners, lob threats. And I thought he got hit early in that first quarter when it seemed like it was just dunk after dunk after dunk.
Yep.
It was a lot of Kessler dunks. It was a lot of like those kinds of guys. Sexton getting into the paint. Clarkson getting into the paint. And Joel usually is so good at dissuading those rim attacks individually. But if there's a lob behind him, that really puts him or anybody in a tough spot. And it was cool to see him. You often talked about like a guy like Luka or Jokic or Steph, like, oh, if you cover them a certain way, LeBron, obviously, if you cover them a certain way, you can only do it for so long because they will adjust to it.
I'll figure it out. Yeah.
You can't keep running the same shit at them because they're too smart. And it was cool to see Joel defensively like figure that out. Like they didn't get lobs towards the end of the game because Joel was like playing it right and hedging. I see it, CJ. Playing it right and making the right play off of he got a big steal off of Kessler lob late. Like it was just cool to see him figure it out in the way that those other guys get credit for offensively.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Briggs Auction. Nailed it there, Mike. Nailed it. Briggs Auction, the official auction, the process. CJ, now I'm going to go right to the CJ item of the week because CJ, I want to ask you. This seems like one of the best. The one that ends on January 3rd. I think this is one of the best Briggs auctions like lots together that I've seen in months. Actually, just as far as different cool stuff.
Yeah, I like this one. This was the same lot from the men working sign that I had last read. But I saved this one last time, and I'm glad I can get to talk about it. My item is a 1981 Honda Express NC50 scooter.
Is that for children?
No.
Wow.
It's a 50cc engine scooter that can go
wow.
30 miles
Maybe
an
it's
hour.
just the picture that makes it look like it's a little kid's bike.
There is no title and no key, so getting this thing to run may be a slight issue. However, 1981 baby, Honda, no one does it better.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Ride this thing around the city. You can weave through traffic. It sounds like a dream.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, and look, sometimes you buy this stuff. Maybe it doesn't work now. You take it to somebody. Maybe you like, working on those things. I don't know. That's cool. There's also there's an autographed Jason Kelce helmet in there. There's an autographed Jason Kelce football. There's a bunch of vinyl in the music section. There's a bunch of cool old stereo equipment in the electronic section. Look, Briggs Auction, 4-generation family owned and operated auction house in Garnet Valley. I love that it's in Delco, but it really doesn't matter to you because everything is online. Download the app in the App Store or Google Play, or you just go to briggsauction.com. There's everything in these auctions, one-of-a-kind items from furniture to clothing to art to collectibles, all that stuff, sports stuff, music stuff, old scooters like CJ said. There's always all this old photography equipment and stuff. Briggs Auction, what I always say about a Briggs Auction is that there's tons of items that you didn't know you needed until you saw them. Tons of lots start at just $1. Every auction, usually, not every, but usually there's at least 500 lots, sometimes up to 1,000. What I suggest is download the app, check in once a week. Online auctions are fun. I enjoy them, and you're supporting a local business, a family-owned and operated business. Download the app. If you win a lot, there's open pickup on Saturdays or by appointment during the week, or they can work with you on a shipper. And do you have a whole basement full of shit that's worth a bunch of money and you need to auction it somewhere? Well, you can't go anywhere but Briggs Auction. Send an email to info@briggsauction.com. That is Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process. And the thing about and be defensively that I noticed last night as well is that we all know his athleticism has declined. He's not the same athlete as he was 5 years ago. But I do think, and this is part of him figuring it out, he does a much, much better job. And I thought you were going to say this when you brought up Harden or Curry, but there are certain players that understand space really well on offense, that find their way into gaps in the defense. And it seems like Joel has gotten to a place where he understands space really well on defense, cuts off angles, and just puts himself in position to deter things from happening rather than having to defend them. If the guy is at the rim, he's lost that little bit of burst where chances are he's not catching up to it and blocking the shot or whatever. And I think he just lets it go a lot of times to avoid fouls. But it seems like spatially he understands defense better than he ever has. And watching him in that way is actually pretty entertaining when you start focusing on it.
Yeah, I agree. I would also just add, I do think that part of it is him saving himself.
Yes, I think so too.
And
athletically, you mean?
Yeah,
like just in
himself.
terms of energy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
And also the risk of injury is higher on those moments. So
right.
He still once in a while will like not be able to help himself and like dive into the stands for a loose ball. And you're like, oh, there's that guy still. And you really would. It's hard to. I imagine it's really hard for him because you want him to play hard, you want him to make plays, you want to win, but then he does it, and you're like, well, not in a December game against the Jazz, like that kind of thing. So,
and he had 4 steals, I think 3 blocks as well.
Pretty close to a 5x5. That would have been fun.
So let me ask you this, Mike.
Yeah.
If the Sixers weren't winning games as they are, 9 of 12, I believe, where would the topic of Paul George be on our list of, hey, what the fuck is going on here? Because I can't tell if I'm not upset by the production because he seems like he's not derailing anything and they're winning games and he's playing well on defense, or if it's like, I can't tell if it's not a big deal or if it is a big deal. I'm just not paying attention to it because they're winning, I guess.
I think it's definitely part of it. I think if they were losing games and he was just sort of blending into the background, then that would be incredibly frustrating. I think when it would also be frustrating if Embiid wasn't there or if Maxey wasn't there and he was offensively having the production that he was having.
Right.
But because it's the three of them, he's just, and the easiest way to compare him to someone else is Tobias, right? And he's just so much more helpful.
Yes.
In every aspect of the game than Tobias.
Yep.
Is he playing like a max contract player now? No. Of course not. But they're winning and his presence is helpful. I think his defense has been great. He had 5 steals last night.
Yep.
I think it's really
13 points on I think 11 shots.
Well, yeah. So defensively, I really think he's been better than I thought he would be at his age.
Even at the Covington deflections type thing, like you mentioned, the 5 steals, his hands are always there. You know?
He's crazy long. He can slide his feet really well. He's not that physical of a defender. He's not like OG Anunoby, but he really can hound someone because of his length and positioning. He surprised Clarkson by slapping the ball off his body out of bounds. There was one time when Clarkson drove and fell down because PG was there and then fell down. And then Paul just sort of took the ball from him when he was on the ground, which is a very odd thing to see. He had the weak side steal off of Markkanen post up. There was an ISO that Sexton had late. Paul wouldn't let him get anywhere. Ended up in a tie up. I just think the defense has been exceptional in a way that on and off ball, which Tobias's isn't. I wouldn't mind a few more hustle rebounds. There's times when he's a little bit lackadaisical on there's a bunch of people going for a rebound and he's kind of all right, that's not if it's Caleb or Kelly or Yabusele, they're going all out for those boards. And I think Paul's kind of if it comes to me, I'll grab it. But I thought defense was great. Yeah. Offense, the shot hasn't been going in. He was 2 for 5 from 3 last night. That's obviously fine. Wouldn't mind more volume, but in the 18 games that he's started and finished, he has broken 20 points only in 4 of those 18 games, which is low. That's low. That is, it's kind of a rudimentary way to think about it, but for your max contract, multi-time All-Star, Hall of Famer, still in his reasonable prime, or that's definitely low.
He's never at the rim. He's never ever at the rim.
Well, there were 2 plays that he was last night.
The dunk.
He blew past Markkanen for a jump stop and dunk. That was a really cool play. Elevates off 2 feet. Good to see he still has it. And there was a couple plays early. I wrote it down when because he's so smooth with his footwork, at the perimeter and into getting into his 20-footers that are contested or whatever. But there was a couple plays where he was smooth with his footwork inside. And I was like, man, I wish he would do that more often. Just because it's, he's not, I'm not asking for 10, 15 posts up a game, but if he could face up and do a little bit of what Joel does while still finishing at the rim or around the rim or something, it would be nice to see a couple nice ones of those. And the two missed free throws late, which was a bummer. You need to make in those. Utah, still had life because of those missed free throws.
Yep.
And then I also think part of it is simply a chemistry volume of plays played together issue. Like, there haven't been that many tight finishes where Joel and PG are on the court together. And there was one play where Paul drove and Joel was kind of rolling behind him, and Paul turned around and almost hit him with a like 80-mile-an-hour chest pass, like in his face, like from point blank range. It was just sort of a bizarre play of indicative of they just haven't spent that much time on the court together. And so I do think that'll improve as they get there. But just Paul's gravity and his ability defensively is so much better than Tobias's ever was, that no matter what, this is very helpful. I don't regret the signing or anything, but I did expect more.
Yeah. Well, I just want him to know, Paul, I got my eyes on you, buddy. Because I'm fine with you doing all this fit-in thing. You're going to have to shoot 41.7% from three if you're just fitting in here, not 31%.
Is that 31?
He was at 31 going into last night. So
yeah, it's low.
It's too low. That's it. But by the way, you can attribute most of his decreased production in terms of points into basically fewer shots and a lower 3-point percentage, which we expected fewer shots. It's really not it. I do truly believe if he was shooting 39.7% on the same number of attempts from three, everything would feel a lot different. But would like to see him get to the rim occasionally. Would like to see that 3-point percentage start to normalize out a little bit.
Yeah, and I
got my eyes on him.
He's also relatively low on twos as well, and from the free throw line. Yeah, he's not. No one is expecting him to be Indiana, Paul George, but you would like a takeover game here and there, where Maxey has Embiid and Maxey both have 22, and Paul has 36. It'd be nice to do that. But they're winning games right now, so that's hard to complain too much.
So two quick moments from last night regarding Embiid, that one disaster potential, and then one was a bit of a what the fuck is going on. Not an official what the fuck moment, but a what the fuck is going on here. The first one, the disaster potential, is right here where Joel decides that he is going to get on the Utah Jazz's mascot's motorcycle on the middle of the court.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if you saw this.
Right.
So here we go.
Fanatic cart.
Here comes Joel.
The mascot was pretty casual with it. Kind of I was like, yeah, hop in.
So I would actually ask that Joel not do that moving forward. That would be my recommendation. I don't know about you, Mike, but I would say don't get on the motorcycle with the bear in the middle of the court. That would be my piece of advice.
I mean, he got hurt warming up, so you never and it could be anything. So let him. I'm saying I think he should develop a rivalry with every mascot, sort of in a Robin Lopez, Tommy Lasorda type of way.
That was not rivalry. That was
friendship. I guess maybe you're right. Maybe not rivalry, but just a dynamic. Establish a dynamic with every mascot.
And then there was this, and I didn't see an answer to this, but after everybody, and thanks to there was a gentleman on Twitter who pointed this out. I didn't see it when it happened. After Embiid shook hands with everybody and was about to get off the court, they flashed back and he was on his knees and looked like he was sick or in pain. There's this, and then he needed some help standing up, and they asked if he was okay. Now, I don't know if maybe my elevation. Now, we've obviously had these conversations before. Maybe he just got sick. Maybe he got dizzy because of that. It didn't look like a knee thing because he was walking around like he was fine. But it did look like he got sick, and then he needed help balancing himself. I don't know if you had seen that. And nobody, because hardly anybody travels anymore with the team. Pompey's usually there, but I didn't see him there last night. No one has an answer to what happened here.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, I assume he's okay, but...
Yeah, played 35 minutes. Played good.
Yeah. Look, it was smiling and laughing, shaking hands after the game. Yeah. And last thing I had is just another excellent game from Yabusele at the...
Incredible.
Dan Olinger writes RickySanchez.com on the Danny wrote a nice little piece this week about how, Yabusele at the 5 basically has helped Maxey a little bit in terms of how Maxey has thrived with that and having a 5 that will shoot threes. I think
I sent the clips of that Olinger posted of him attacking closeouts to Alyssa. I was like, look at this, look at this. You can do this. This can be you. You could be a 6'6" Frenchman.
Well, I love his craftiness around the rim. I love that he shoots and makes threes. I love that he's giant and aggressive. I love like the offensive rebound off the missed, free throw from Embiid last night. But his craftiness around the rim and making those shots is incredible. Another thing I didn't expect.
It's unreal. I love watching him just absolutely put someone else in the basket. Yep. Like it is, you don't see it very often. You don't see just like a huge dude in his way that he's huge. Just go like we're running post ups for me because I have someone that's just a little bit too skinny on me. They don't have to be like small. They just have to be just a little too skinny. And it's just like ass layup. And it's just like, it's just good, man. It's just good. And
it doesn't seem like he ever misses those, by the way. It doesn't seem like he ever misses them.
He's been really good, or he at least gets fouled on those. Man, I think he won them that game last night. There were just his energy on, like outfighting Kessler for that offensive rebound off the free throw. That was sick. And then he drew Kessler's third foul on that play, and then a fourth play on Kessler tried to screen him, and because he was just fighting around a screen and like working on it and not just submitting to it, drew a moving screen on Kessler there, and that just changes the way that their offense runs. If Kessler and defense, if Kessler can't like set screens and roll as hard or defend Embiid, like that was just big plays that you don't get credit on in the box score for like drawn fouls on somebody else in on an offensive sense, but like. That's just massive. And I thought that there were a couple times when I was surprised they didn't go to it earlier, but Utah, everything was just pick and roll. And Clarkson and Sexton were making their plays, and Sensabaugh were making their plays off of it. And then Yabu comes in and they start switching, and like they're forcing tougher shots on those. And I would like to see that a little bit more. But it was like he's just a very versatile weapon and completely integral to this team. And I love the rebounds. I love just how he moves offensively. He's just been great. He's just been so great.
And I'm pretty sure somebody asked in the chat about his contract. I think he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. The most the Sixers can offer him is one of the exceptions. I think it's like $6 million a year. So there's unless they did one of those things where they give him a player option on year 2 so he can opt out of it, and they can pay him more. But the wink nod with the Sixers doesn't seem to go so well. Yeah. So if somebody else offers him a 3-year, $30 million deal somewhere, he's most likely gone, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, he does seem to really love being here.
He does. His Twitter is so happy, man.
I know.
He's always so happy to be here.
It's really a delight. A couple other things about the other guys, I'll just rip through them really quick. I will always love Kelly Oubre when the 3 guys are here. He's just so helpful. When he gets his, it's just so nice because nobody else can like step up to him. But another time when he doesn't dunk and he misses because of it. In the Celtics game, he didn't dunk. He got blocked. In this one, he doesn't dunk, and his momentum was taking him too far in that transition opportunity. Could have swung the game. Needed that dunk. Kelly, this is who you are. Don't go changing on me now. We've established a real beautiful rapport between him and I want to make sure that he's, stays true to himself and continues to dunk.
Well, they need a dunk guy, and I know Maxey is more of a dunk guy now than he used to be, but they still need a guy who tries to dunk everything. And if KJ Martin's going to be hurt, right, then we're going to need Kelly Oubre to step up.
That was tough. That was hurtful to me. Yeah. Good to see Caleb Martin hit another 3. Really nice finish around Johnny Juzang for an and-1. That was beautiful. And then a crazy play defensively for Caleb Martin where he blocked a Lauri Markkanen 3. That was awesome. That was
I think they got a fast break right off of that. I think.
I mean, just really a really hustle, athleticism, length play that you don't see guys make very often. Lowry shoots it so high. Like, that's a really tough play to make, and it was a great play. I want to shout out Reggie Jackson, who I've not been complimentary towards much this season, but back-to-back corner threes when it felt like everything in the third or fourth quarter was like coming up just a little bit short.
Those were huge. Those were need to make them threes.
Those were absolutely need to make them three. One he had a guy draped all over him, hit that corner. So that was nice. And it's been a good stretch for Kyle Lowry. It really has been a good stretch for him. Like, in his way, obviously he didn't score. He doesn't do that anymore. That's against the rules. But he picks off a bounce pass in transition, just like kind of with only intuition. He rips a rebound out of Kessler's hands. He helps off a Sexton cut to save an easy layup by stripping the ball off his body. He has 5 assists, just moving the ball, knowing where guys are going to be. He's just been, if you have too many old guys, then Lowry's just like, God, that is impossible to win modern NBA with. But when he's kind of the only one, even Reggie Jackson has like still a little bit of juice in his life. Like, I don't think Eric Gordon should be allowed on the court with Kyle Lowry, is what I'm saying. One of them I think is fine. I do think we'll be fine. Eric Gordon will eventually hit shots when he's back healthy and everything, but they can't play together. That's too much. Even Kyle Lowry, Paul George might be too many old guys in one area. So they're just like, he's got to be the only one. And Ricky Council, he steps back into all of his threes. He missed a 30-footer by about 12 feet. You don't get more points.
Layup that he laid off the top of the backboard, never even got rim off the layup. I don't remember that.
Yeah. But there was a great cut down the middle and transition off a Lowry pass. I like that. That's a fun combo of Lowry. Just basically put Ricky under Lowry's purview and was like, he's your boss. You do whatever he says. And with Lowry always looking to push, I think Ricky weaponizing his speed and athleticism without like having to create everything by himself. I like that as a fun one. And Kate mentioned this on the broadcast, but 0 turnovers in the last 16 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Especially for them.
Good to see. Yeah. I mean, some bad mistakes in Christmas against Boston. They got massively out rebounded in this game. So they needed possession battles to win. And the turnovers being 21 for Utah and 8 for us was helpful. And I just got to give credit to Nick Nurse. He's winning challenges. He's hot.
He's on fire. He's on fire.
He is officially on fire after 2 months of not winning a single one. To get a couple in the same game was really shocking.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by MortgageCS. MortgageCS. If you've never, 2 things. If you've never bought a house, you need a mortgage, just go to MortgageCS. They're going to make everything easy. They won't make it scary. They only care about you. They're going to be available for you whenever you need it. They're going to teach you everything about a mortgage, blah, blah, blah. If you have bought a house before and you have dealt with a mortgage pro before, you probably notice they always seem fucking hassled and going a million miles an hour and like the communication's not always that great. Just try MortgageCS before you go back to whoever you used before. Here we are at the end of the year. If you think you're going to buy a house in 2025, they can help you plan, by the way. You have a lot to plan ahead. You got to get all your documents together that you're going to have to, all your tax documents, all your financial documents. They'll let you know what you need. Maybe tax planning as well, because if you know you're going to buy a house in 2025, that changes things. They can get your credit check done. They can get your pre-approval done. Even if you don't think you're going to buy a house till the summer, you can reach out to MortgageCS right now. We love MortgageCS because they're independent. They only care about you. We love MortgageCS because they are patient and communicative and there for you whenever you need them. We love MortgageCS because every MortgageCS, Ricky listener who's gone to MortgageCS has said the same thing, that they wouldn't have gone anywhere else, and they're glad they made the phone call. You can call or text their CEO, Ben, at any time, 267-391-7425. That is 267-391-7425. Ben, text them right now if you want, whenever you want, or just go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. You get the Ricky VIP experience. You can set up a consultation there. You can learn more about them there. And if you don't believe me, just Google them. You can see all the hundreds of 5-star reviews. They are never ending. Well, I guess if there's hundreds, they are ending, but there's a lot of them. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. MortgageCS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com/Ricky for more information. So on the last pod, Mike, we talked about the Mike O'Connor article about Jared McCain and whether his injury increases the chances that he may be traded. And your reaction was that you didn't think there were trades out there that would be the combination of win now, but also match salaries and also future blah, 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 blah.
That's right.
So to help, to try to like throw some trades by you, I came up with a couple, but then also some listeners came up with a couple. I understand you may still say no, and I'll put this caveat in there, though I don't think it'll matter, so I didn't include it. I didn't include like, oh, we also get 2 firsts back or anything, because I just don't think, if that matters to you, then fine, then we can talk about it. Like, oh, not unless we get a draft pick. But to me, it's more about the players at this point and not about the picks. Because what are they even using the picks for anyway?
Well, they would use the picks for trades later.
Yes, but from a salary standpoint, it's almost impossible to trade for a star level player unless you're trading Paul George or Maxey or Embiid at this point. But if picks change your mind on this, you can just say if they gave me a pick as well. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. First one. With the Spurs, Jared McCain, KJ Martin, Eric Gordon for Chris Paul and Jeremy Sohan.
No.
Do you think it increases the chance they win a title this year?
I mean, if McCain's out for the year,
yes,
then almost every version will increase that some maybe small, tiny percentage point. But sorry, CJ is stretching in a funny way. It makes his head look really small. It's just funny to see. Like I got eyes on you, CJ. I'm always looking. I don't think. I mean, Sohan is an interesting player to me, but is another guy that you don't have to really cover from 3.
Sure.
And having Chris Paul and Kyle Lowry on the same team is, I think, against some sort of international law.
Chris Paul can still play, though.
No, for sure.
Yeah. Chris Paul would help them this year. I'm just saying, Chris Paul would definitely help them this year.
Yeah. To me, it's not enough. That's a distinct no.
Okay. To the Timberwolves, KJ Martin, Jared McCain for Dante DiVincenzo.
No. I mean, I like Dante. He's a nice player, but like McCain, yeah, I mean, they just have to think of the rest of this team's prime, and McCain extends it so much. And DiVincenzo is, a nice player, hustles.
How much do you think he increases their chances of winning a title this year?
Minimally.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's a nice player. He would bump like Reggie Jackson from the rotation, but I don't think he would play much. He would fall into the like Oubre, Caleb Martin, whoever's hot type of thing. I don't think he would be like marked in for 35 minutes a night.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he wasn't doing that really for most of the time with the Knicks and with the Wolves.
Okay, that's fair. All right, next one.
He's like a what? He's like a 20. What's he playing? What's he averaging a night? Like 25, 28? 20 this season 25 minutes a night, last season 29 minutes a night. So he's like a sixth man type.
Which is what McCain was doing. I mean,
for sure. I'm not saying these guys would not be better than McCain this year.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm playing devil's advocate here in the idea that whoever you trade for obviously gives you a better chance of winning a title this year.
Yeah.
So
to me it would have to be more than minimally, because the risk of there being a Buddy Hield, George Hill style. Yeah, he's another guy that we kind of add to the slop of things that doesn't actually make the difference, because the thing that makes the difference is stars, and the stars that we have need to play better. And McCain could be close, he's projected out right now to be an all-star type player down the road. And to give that up, I would need someone that's more than just, George Hill plus.
Okay. Kobe White.
That's interesting.
So Kobe White makes $11 million. You essentially could do the Jared McCain, what's it called? The KJ Martin thing for Kobe White. Now, somebody mentioned in an email, also including Ayo Dosunmu, but you're probably not getting both of them. Kobe White's been really good,
He's been really good. Yeah. Kobe White signed to 12 million this year and almost 13 million next year.
Yep.
So you get 2 years of that. That's the first one that's very interesting to me. Kobe White would be interesting because he's turned himself into a really good player, incredible shooter, like pretty lethal off the catch, off the move, and also has really gotten better at attacking the basket and attacking closeouts and finishing, and that's interesting. I'm considering it.
And by the way, if you're the Bulls, because this is part of this too. And by the way, I think Kobe White's 6'5", something like that. Like he's a you can play him with Maxey without that worry. I guess the question would be, well, why are the Bulls doing this? Well, the Bulls are doing this, you would think, because they want to, maybe they turn back the clock. They get a guy that's on a rookie salary rather than a guy that they're going to have to pay in a year, so on and so forth. And it helps them lose this year, which maybe they decide to do at some point. Yeah. So that's why they do it.
It's definitely interesting. I'm in physical pain as I'm saying it, but it's something you got to consider. And Kobe White's still young. He's 24.
Yeah,
he's about to turn 25, so he would still be on the like sort of younger core timeline. There's a chance that, I mean, I think if you trade for Kobe White, you got him for 2 years, but I think you're also anticipating signing him.
Yes, yeah,
for long term and going like, okay, Maxey, Kobe, PG, Embiid is with like Caleb being here. That's just a really nice balanced situation there.
So I don't think Portland does this because why do you try to create double, small backcourt or whatever? But the combination of McCain, Martin, Eric Gordon, I think you need one more salary for Denny Avdia and Rob Williams.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Anthony Simons.
No, Anthony Simons is making almost $30 million. Yeah. And I would love to have Anthony Simons, and I think there's a chance that Jared McCain is never any better than Anthony Simons. Right. Not that it's likely, but it's certainly possible. But yeah.
I would say McCain right now projects to be. I mean, Simons is a really very good offensive player, but
not as good a passer as McCain.
Not as good of a passer as McCain projects out to be, and I think not as good of a defensive player as he projects out to be. McCain just to me is more of a winning player than Simons is. But Simons is better than him right now, you could say. Mm-hmm. But yeah, salary wise, it's tough. I like Avdia. I think he's an undervalued player. I almost kept him in execs this year because I thought he was going to do in the fantasy league because I thought he was going to be good in Portland, and he has been playing well. But he'd be nice, and he signed to a very good contract with like descending value. It's only $12 million in 27, 28. It's 4 years from now. Rob Williams, it doesn't do much for me.
He's always hurt.
Hurt.
Yeah.
Not that interesting as I mean, really good. It'd be fun to see him as the backup to Embiid.
Yep.
But not the price tag is a little high, 12 million and 13 million for this season and next season for like a backup when you have Drummond signed for 5 million and Yabusele for the minimum. That's a no. That's a no for me. I don't dispute that it wouldn't be helpful, but I think like even though Avdia is good and will outplay this contract, it's hard to not. I think you can get like the way that Morey has gotten 3 or 4 minimum contracts and like 1 or 2 of them really hit every year. You can come close enough to the kind of thing that Avdia does. Although his passing would definitely help the team. I'm not saying it would be helpful, but I think that's still a no for me.
Okay, 2 more.
And I also agree that Portland probably wouldn't because they do already have Simons and Scoot and Shaden Sharp.
Yeah, how many fucking little? Well, now Shaden Sharp's
no, he's not little, guy. But similar, like attack the basket, like shoot. Not a different kind of player. There might be some overlap there.
Okay, 2 more. The Nets: McCain, Martin, Gordon, Drummond, Cam Thomas, and Cam Johnson.
No. I don't want Cam Thomas.
Really? He just 1 year in and out?
Not at all.
Oh.
Imagine Cam Thomas like take like contested 19-footers while like Maxey, PG, and Embiid are all like open. I can't do it. No. I like Cam Johnson, but I really like Cam Johnson. Is on my team.
I love Cam Johnson
in fantasy in execs. but would be helpful. But I think has limitations. Is not signed to is signed to a good contract, fine contract.
Yeah, it's like 24 million or something.
22 and then 20 and then 22 again. It's kind of a weird look.
That's a good contract, actually.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine for a starter. He's an NBA starter, and I don't think he has any all-star equity, but would be helpful. But for me, it's a no.
Okay, and I have one more. Do it right after I tell you about Bodybio. Bodybio, what a great partner we have in Bodybio.
Yes.
All of our partners do something different to make your life better. Bodybio makes you healthier, helps you with your health, right? They know that you're probably bad at taking care of yourself, so they step right in. Family-owned, operated company right there in Jersey. They care about quality. Every batch of everything that Bodybio sends out and sells gets tested before it leaves the factory. So if it doesn't measure up to their standards, it simply doesn't go out. That's important. They care about your gut. They care about your hydration. They care about your brain. They care about all those things. Fish Oil Plus, great example of a Bodybio product, because you see that similar products everywhere. Like Bodybio isn't the only place you can get a hydration, product. It's not the only place you can get butyrate, but it is the only place you can get the highest quality of these things. And Fish Oil Plus is a good example of it. You've been hearing about fish oil for decades. You go into the drugstore, fish oil all over the walls. The problem is there's so much of it now, it's led to worse product, shitty farm fish practices for the fish oil, stuff, companies cutting corners, leaving stuff on the shelves forever. So you get rancid, oxidized product, not from Bodybio. They don't cut corners anywhere. Fish Oil Plus is the complete opposite of that. Made from wild herring caviar, top source for fish oil right there. Goes through all of their testing processes, which includes testing for heavy metals like mercury, which you hear about with fish oil all the time, oxidation, prolonged heat exposure, all that. And when you look at the label, you're going to see the same as you see on other products in terms of milligrams of this and milligrams of that. The difference with Bodybio is that it has your body is going to absorb more of the product than with these other products because it's higher quality. It has naturally occurring phospholipids. That's a real word, that make it about 25% more absorbed by your body compared to other product. Also includes SPMs, which are the most anti-inflammatory part of any omega supplement. If you're taking a fish oil product, a family member, friend, whatever, just have them switch to Fish Oil Plus. Go to bodybio.com, use code Norman for 20% off. That is Norman for 20% off. You got to write it down and remember it. It's not going to be written in the pod description. Norman for 20% off. You can also use that for butyrate. You can use it for Elite, all their products. Again, bodybio.com, promo code Norman for 20% off. Okay, last thing
on Cam Johnson before you go to the last one.
Yeah.
He's a really good player. I will say he is 4 years older than Kobe White. I think has less potential, star-ish equity.
Yeah, he's prime right now. This is as good as Cam Johnson can.
And he's also having career highs in pretty much everything right now, which is on the one hand good. He's coalescing at the right time, but also he's career high in 3-point percentage, career high in 2-point percentage, career high in assists, career high getting to the line. He's doing it the most, but it's on a bad team that is not trying to win. How much can that hold up? And also, is it the kind of thing that will regress? Hard to know. So if this is who he is, if you took his exact production right now and put it on the Sixers, I would say maybe you have to do that because he's been just excellent this year. True shooting percentage is way higher than any other season of his career.
A good sign, by the way, that he's doing it not in a contract year, by the way.
Yeah, I think he's just a really good player, but I don't know that this is sustainable productivity, and the odds of him just becoming back to being he's kind of a borderline starter sixth man the way he was in Phoenix are, I think, not impossible. So I wanted to acknowledge that he is having an excellent year, and I a little bit am skeptical that it's going to keep up or could keep up on a better team.
And I do want to be clear that I brought up Cam Johnson last year. We have talked about Cam Johnson before this year. We talked about him last year as well.
And if they traded for him, if they stacked KJ, Drummond, Oubre, something in that realm, and traded for him, I would be very happy.
And just use picks rather than
Now
he's
McCain.
Yeah, it'd be hard to get to that 20 million number, though. I think they could, right? I mean, KJ is at what, 6? How much is 8? Okay, so KJ's at 8, Drummond's at 3.
5.
Drummond's 5?
Yeah.
I thought Drummond was making a minimum. Are you sure Drummond's at 5?
I thought it was 5 and 5. Yeah, 5 and 5. Drummond.
Okay.
Player option for next year for 5.
Okay.
So it'd have to be, so you get like 13 out of Drummond and Martin, and then you'd probably stack some like
Eric Gordon,
Eric Gordon,
16.
Ricky, like something like that.
Yeah,
To make it work.
And then actually 2 more. I think you're going to say no on the first one. Just want to, and I don't know why they would do it, but it's worth, he seems to be on the trade block. Kuminga.
No, I like him. I'm intrigued by him. I think he's an interesting player. I think I would like to see him out of the Warriors system, the way that it's not a fit for everybody. Wasn't a fit for Kelly Oubre. I think Kuminga could be very good, even in like doing what John Collins has been doing in Utah. But I would say no. The fit is not like glove-like enough to be a mid-season situation.
Yeah, I don't like Kuminga that much, actually.
He's fun to watch.
It sort of reminds me of, I mean, there's like a little RJ Barrett to him in that, like, I can't quite tell what he's supposed to be really good at. And
it's crazy. I mean, he's crazy athletic and can handle it at his size. I mean, it has some shot making ability, and you hope that he settles in defensively to be like a well above average player.
And then the last one, a couple people brought up Trey Murphy in New Orleans.
That's interesting. I like Trey Murphy. That's interesting because they just signed him to a big contract that is also quite fair. 20 after this year, it's 25, 27, 29, 31. So they're paying for the kind of player that is more than just a very good 3-and-D player. They think there's more like scoring in there. I don't know that I've seen enough of it. I like Trey Murphy as a 3-and-D guy, but how much like in between game does he have? How much would he need to have here? Is it, if that's the case, isn't he like replicating some of the stuff Paul George is already bringing here? It's certainly interesting. I think you'd have to really think about it, and they would have to love Trey Murphy because he would then be like here for 5 years. So I'm interested, but I don't know. That'd be an I don't know. There's one more that Mike O'Connor texted me about. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
I don't think that they would trade him, but Mike said Scotty Barnes.
Oh, they're not going to trade him.
That's what I said. I said they wouldn't trade him for, and they just signed him to a big, max contract.
By the way, you'd have to give up all your picks in that too. You're not just getting Scotty Barnes for Jared McCain.
Yeah, I was like they weren't trading him for Kevin Durant. I don't think they're trading him for Jared McCain. And I do think they envision him as a
centerpiece
type player. They have Quickly already at a big contract. Hard to imagine that them jumping at that, but in a world where Toronto would, McCain plus a couple picks for Scotty Barnes, like that would be a yes from me. Honestly.
Yeah, I actually find Scotty Barnes to be annoying, but you would have to make the trade.
How much of it is that his name is Scotty?
Well, there's Scotty, and then there's the time where he was wearing like the head covering at the press conference, and he looked like sort of ridiculous. And yeah, you don't remember that? Like he was like wearing it wasn't like a hood. It was like he was wearing like a scarf over his head.
Yeah, a scarf. I like that.
You like that?
Yeah, he looks a little bit like an old
lady.
An old lady like in, Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
It's a little babushka.
Yes. Just weird. But they're not trading him for fucking Jared McCain. What is the MOC thinking? Jesus Christ. He's like, maybe we'll get Herb Jones for him or we'll get Scotty Barnes. It's like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, Toronto would have had to sour on him in a real specific way. But I don't think McCain fills a future cornerstone. They'd have to just love him, and maybe they would. But I mean, Scott, the kind of player that Scotty is with Maxey, PG, and Embiid would be like tailor made perfect for what they would want. So if that trade,
By the way, the trade starts with McCain. It also it requires all your other picks as well.
Yeah.
It just gives you a leg up. By the way, a leg up we haven't had in a while in those trade talks where we have a young player that people want also.
100%.
You know, not that I don't want to trade Jared McCain. I just
I mean, for sure. I mean, like, if they have to think about it, it would make my skin itch if I was in there thinking about it too much. But the last time they had a player like that was Maxey, and before that it was like Landry Shamet, kind of. But like having a young player in the first year of his rookie deal, and the fact that he's out for the year makes it. And I don't know that I'm willing to say he's fully out for the year. You know, April's a long time away from now.
Yeah, but I think for argument's sake, it's and especially because I think he was going to probably help more during the regular season than he was during the playoffs. Actually,
I agree with that.
We actually did get a funny voicemail about trades. 833 Lickface is the number.
Yes, this is Drew from Brooklyn. I'm one of the 5 to 15% female listeners, and I demand to be counted. My question is about the trade deadline. I don't understand why we're caring about the trade deadline like it's going to have a different outcome. Haven't like the last 8 years, we've just like talked about it for months, traded people away, and then some guy like comes in and can't shoot. I'm just like, what's the goal here? Like, why are we pretending like it's going to be a different outcome? Why do we mix up the team when we're just trying to like get to know each other and hopefully everyone's going to be finally healthy? Like, what is the ideal outcome here, and why are we obsessed with this? Thanks.
I think we're obsessed with the trade deadline because it is part of our DNA, and Daryl Morey's the general manager who likes making trades. Basically.
I mean, I think it is a fair point of like,
what's actually going to happen here? Yeah.
You can look at the past several years of trade deadline acquisitions, which have not moved the needle in any way in the playoffs. And you can consider like this team really does need time together to build chemistry, and adding too much of a new type of player in that would take time to get in there is another factor. But I think if it's an undeniably good trade that would help bring another player in, I think you kind of can't say no to it. I mean, this season, the Sixers' best team was a team that acquired Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris midway through the season. That's been the best team of this era. And so, not that that's indicative of how things would go, but you kind of have to, if you can fundamentally improve the team, and you know enough people buy in, being like Nick Nurse and Embiid, then, and you think that you have a better shot to win, to make a playoff run because of that person, I do think you kind of have to do it and trust that the chemistry will come in the 2 months of regular season basketball after that. But, you know, one injury away, it's certainly a factor in a way that Daryl previously maybe hasn't thought about it that much, being like, I'll just get the best players and they'll figure it out. But after that not working so many times, you kind of have to be like, well, maybe I should just let it ride with the guys we got.
2 quick emails before we get out of here. Write streakysanchez@gmail.com. This came from Austin. Austin says, hey, Spike, Mike, CJ, President Harold. This is Austin from Virginia in search of some bathroom advice. I'm a 5th grade teacher, and the bathroom situation at my school is not great. The closest adult bathroom to my classroom is the main office. The bathroom door opens right into where the reception desk is, and it's always busy throughout the day.
That's tough, man.
Yeah. The next closest bathroom is located in the teacher's lounge. Again, a very busy space with coworkers almost always present.
Yeah.
The final adult bathroom in my school are 2 very nice bathrooms and a private hallway just off the kindergarten hallway. This leads me to my problem when I need to go poop during the day. I don't know which bathroom to use. Do I A, go to the closest bathroom in the front office, even though it opens up to a space with lots of coworkers, students, parents, overall foot traffic? B, go to the bathroom in the teacher's lounge a bit further away and open to a shared space. C, go to one of the private nicest bathrooms by the kindergarten hall. However, I have no business being down there, and they're on the opposite side of the school from my classroom. D, fight the urge and don't go at work.
Go in the kids' bathrooms.
Wow.
No, don't do that.
Yeah,
I've always felt bad for teachers in this sense, where it's like, man, you can't tell a kid like, sorry, the teacher has to go poopy. Like, you just can't. do that, but it is part of it. That's maybe why I couldn't be a teacher. Here's my correct opinion. Develop a friendship with one of the kindergarten teachers, so that you just like have an excuse to go down there, and also become the kind of person that just goes stretching my legs.
Yep, taking a walk.
Taking a walk. Gotta stretch. Gotta keep it moving.
Gotta get
sitting around
too much. I do that every day. I get my steps in at work. I walk to places I don't normally walk.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
Walking. I think main office and teacher's lounge. Those are tough pills to swallow, to open up right into a room of what you don't know from when you start your bathroom experience to when you end your bathroom experience. You just don't know who's going to be there and what you're going to want to deal with. I would take the walk, and I would become a person that find reasons to make it not weird that you're there.
That might be the best advice you've ever given on the podcast.
Thank you.
And this comes from Arun. The subject line was "Break the Curse." Dear Spike and Mike, I am old enough to remember the beginning of the internet age and your original podcast. After last year, I was all out. For the first time in a decade, I haven't listened to every pod. I know you are feeling a moment of optimism after the Christmas Day game. I'm writing to remind you, when it comes to the Sixers, optimism is a false god. This will not end well. This team is cursed, and it's time to break the curse once and for all. Last year in December, I went to India to spread my grandmother's ashes in the Ganges River. My parents told me I had to take the ashes in my carry-on bag to keep them from being quarantined by security. What they didn't tell me is that the ashes are considered unlucky, and they didn't want to hold on to them. So at every airport checkpoint, I had to pull out my bag and explain what they were. In India, they made me keep them in my hotel room. All sorts of strange things started to happen. I got stuck in an elevator. The electricity and water stopped working in my room. Drunk wedding guests pounded on my door at 3 a.m. I was miserable. Things got better after we spread the ashes in the Ganges River. To break our curse, we need to cremate the process, all of it, all the relics, and spread the ashes in the Ganges. There must be a process-believing crematorium owner, Hindu, or other priest who can preside over the ceremony, and a window of time where we can journey to India. We will place
India.
We will place the ashes in one of your carry-ons. When we are stopped at security, you will pull out the bag of ashes and say, "This is our friend, Mr. Wrights to Ricky Sanchez." At the Ganges, the two of you can take turns spreading the ashes. Only then will the curse be broken. This must be done. We cannot go on living like this.
I think that's completely reasonable. I think we may have to do it.
Yes. I agree as well.
Me, you, and CJ going to just doing all this. I do worry about the insensitivity of getting some crematorium Hindu or priest.
Well, we're not the insensitive. Arun is comparing.
I understand.
No,
of course.
Grandmother,
but unless we're bringing him with us to make sure it's like, hey, just he said it's cool. But that might, we have to do it. The idea of sort of, part of going to Fly the Process Atlanta is to like dunk away the demons, but we may need to go a little deeper. If we may need to kill the process in order to survive.
By the way, regular Twitch chatter, the Bus Russ, says, as someone with unique personal experience, not the kindergarten wing if you don't work down there, where the kindergarten team will not like you. Tough, but probably the teacher's lounge. Absolutely, practically the worst advice Mike has ever given on the pod.
No way.
Someone needs to warn this listener not to go in the kindergarten wing.
Just befriend one of the kindergarten teachers. That's it. Become a person that stretches your legs. You must.
Maybe there's a thing where we don't know anything about the teachers thing, by the way.
Just to use a bathroom that opens up to like a room full of people right there is just really risky at work. That's really risky. There was a bathroom writer's room in the room that no one ever used because you just can't do it. You got to take the walk. And my girlfriend in high school had a bathroom in her living room that that was the one to use. I couldn't say I'm going upstairs. It's like if you can avoid it, you got to avoid it. Yep. You got to avoid the group of people being right there.
Yeah,
the anxiety of that.
Pooped.
Speculating who's outside, what's waiting for me after this. Can they hear me? Are they talking about it? I'd say if you want to, if this results in a rivalry with the kindergarten teachers, then that is worth it. then that is worth it. I would try to be nice, catch more kindergarten teachers with honey, but I think it's worth the attempt.
All right. Well, Sixers keep on winning. As I said, 12-17. Who would have guessed? They tried to count us out, but look at us. We're here now. And we will talk to you next time. And we still wanted 4-1 out of this road trip, right? Needed 4-1 if they're a serious team.
I wouldn't mind a little bit easier of a time.
Right.
I wouldn't mind beating the Blazers by like 15 or 20.
It'd be nice.
With the point differential.
Yep. We're
got
still
the Kings after
4.
that. Kings just fired Mike Brown.
Yep.
So, win these games.
We'll talk to you next time. You're done with TTP. By the way, go Birds.
Go Birds. You know Lickface.